Ladies and gentlemen, it is March 29th, 2020. At the time of the recording of this podcast, we are in the middle, or who knows, the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic or crisis. It seems like we're going into crisis mode now. Me and Mike finally got to talk virtually about it. You're going to hear our thoughts right now and how deep this goes. Mike, we are in it. Did you expect anything like this to happen?
No, but
Same.
in the back of my brain, I always kind of thought about this kind of situation.
Same.
Like, I took a lot of crap for carrying my backpack almost everywhere I went with a first aid kit and a toolkit.
I have one in my trunk, always.
But people always broke my balls about me having my stupid backpack around almost everywhere I went. But it's because of stuff like this. You never know what the world is going to give you in a given day. And I mean, I always talk about Leatherman tools. I
Yeah.
carry a Leatherman tool all the time.
So,
I mean, in the back of your brain, you got to get ready for when the shit goes down, and this is the biggest thing to happen in 100 years.
so right now, March 29th, shit is going down, but has it completely gone down? I don't think so, but I know you and we've talked a lot about doomsday prepping, zombie apocalypse prepping, but I just can't help but to feel like it's getting to that. I see what's going on. So what are your key observations in what's going on that leads us to think that maybe we should prep for a doomsday scenario?
Well, I mean, trying to think in like history and everything. If you look at like World War I, World War II, Vietnam, wars that we fought, but also emergencies and horrible things. I mean, we don't know how this is going to play out because we're in the beginning stages of what's happening. I mean, a month or two, we might look back and say this was overblown, we were overreacting, or it might be 10 times worse every month for a year.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what's going to happen. And that's frightening for a lot of people. And the one of the biggest ironies of this whole thing is that powerful people are getting this disease.
Yeah.
So now we're shutting down everything. Now we're
Yeah.
doing all. If something happens in Africa where only very poor people go through this, it's like, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
It turns into like a charity that you kind of like know exists, like, hey, support them, send
Yeah.
money, and you're like, I'll send a couple bucks. But now it's us.
Yeah, this is a great equalizer. I mean, everybody's on the same level. Be like Prince Charles has the coronavirus. Like, okay, like that's a game changer for humanity right there, because now we're kind of all one big global village right now, which is good and bad. Like, I don't know how it's going to play out because it's still at this point, I'm very suspicious of globalism. I mean, I think it's
Same.
not the way to go because it's just too big. You can't control everybody on the planet through one centralized location. It's just madness. But this is a game changer. I mean,
let's go with State of the Union, Mike. How do you see things right now? We are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area. There's rumors happening that we might be quarantined. I don't know how strict the quarantine is. I don't know if that's a curfew. I don't know if that's travel within borders. But the State of the Union right now, if we have to live like this or it gets worse, what do you see happening in this area? And then I want your impression globally.
Well, Trump just extended it to April 30th right now.
Yeah.
So
much for the Easter deadline, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was wishful thinking on everybody's part. It was like, but he has to just say that because he can't say we're shutting down for a year because that's irresponsible, but he can't be too. I mean, it's just a terrible position for everybody to be involved in because, like, you just have to every month go like, all right, we're going to extend another month, guys. We're just going to double check, but you might be doing that every month for 6-7 months. Who knows? I mean, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, but I mean, I'm trying to follow a lot of people who are experts, like specifically like Peter Schiff is someone that I suggest people kind of look into. He predicted the 2008 collapse. So, I mean, he's a very, very smart guy, but that's completely in the terms of economics. You talk to Peter Schiff.
I mean, he predicted that because the environment was the economic environment was naturally heading in that direction. This is a crisis. This is a sideswipe. So he couldn't really predict this. And here we are. So, I mean, I'll pay attention to what he's saying, but no one can tell us, like, we're going to be quarantined for another month or another 6 months, or this thing can transform and mutate and become even more serious.
So, well, let's get some good panicking involved and get out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, right now we have internet, we have food, we have water for the most part.
Yeah.
There's so many situations where this can go so much worse. I mean, imagine if the grid goes down in the middle of the summer.
You see, I was thinking about that because it's funny. I've played a lot of zombie apocalypse games. I love State of Decay, Left 4 Dead, and there's one endearing thing about Left 4 Dead. When you get to a safe room and you look at the walls, I saw someone write, "I miss the internet." Like, we would miss the internet, we'd miss that communication. But I'm talking like there's difference between Doomsday, and I guess a Doomsday scenario we always thought would be like nukes and war. Yeah. This is a pandemic Doomsday thing, so I don't think we're essentially ready for that.
Well, the thing is, I mean, sorry to cut you off, but Gerald Celente is someone, another expert on these types of things. If you guys don't know who he is, he's a trends forecast research advocate. I mean, I guess that's the right phrase. But his job is to predict what happens in the future. That's his forte. And he's an older guy. He's in his 70s from the Bronx. You know, he's a smart guy, but he's very like brutal with what he's saying. I mean, he's saying that this is a precursor to World War III. Like, simple as that. So, I mean, the fucked up thing is that I really want everybody to really think long term.
See, that's what I'm trying. And that's what I was mentioning, because like I've had these apocalypse scenarios in my mind. They play out differently, whether it's zombies or war. I've seen
wish it was zombies.
I know everybody wishes zombies because we've been preparing for that. But like, but seriously, like taking a doomsday scenario, and I would say the main pillar of society would be how we spend our currency and our money. And I think if money was devalued, then it's an official doomsday scenario, because then like then something else has to take over in terms of value or a value system.
We don't know what that's going to be.
There is no backup. There's no plan B if money doesn't work. And I think that's what, when you were talking about earlier about like this global system, this global economy, or the global the environment, we're all tethered by some sort of value that we can pass as a number, and and we just trust it. And so right now, like you said, we have internet, we've got electricity. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous, man, because this is like a weird scenario to be in talking about it.
Yeah, but you have to just kind of get it out, though. You know,
it's not like zombies are going to chase down the electrical power plants and knock the workers out, but when is it going to get too much? Like, when is it going to be like you can't leave your house, or are we going to recover from this? So let's go with the doomsday scenario. If it gets worse, Mike, people get sick, there's less of a labor force. How do you think this transforms?
Well, this is obviously a game changer for everyone. I mean, 9/11 is the closest thing that I've gone through directly, but I saw, like everybody else, on how it all played out. And there was kind of, looking back all these years later, there was kind of an end game to what happened. Yeah. I mean, Bin Laden got killed, the invasion of Iraq, and for, you know, but it all kind of played itself out, and we're just at this weird state of, I guess, neutrality, or whatever you want to say, a stalemate, whatever it is, of human conflict. I mean, it didn't really work itself out perfectly, but it all happened, and we're done. This is different because we don't know where this is going to lead. Like, we're in the early stages of something that's enormous. Hopefully things work itself out. Imagine if there's a cure for corona in 6 months, and then it doesn't. I mean, something else I was trying to think about was like the Spanish flu. Apparently, the second wave was what really got everyone. So winter this year is going to be very crucial for everybody. And that's when it gets really dangerous, because imagine this times 10, and then next year is going to be something else. I mean, you know, there's nothing to stand on right now. We're all just trying to figure out what to do. I'm just trying to stay calm, stay just very objective, and like, all right, what's the food situation? What's the water situation? I mean, hygiene is something that's important for everybody now more than ever. And I mean, I'm just trying to take everything day by day. And it's not my business to predict what's going to happen in a year. I can only theorize, because I'm not an expert on any of this. I mean, everybody's just on the same page. I recommend Gerald Celente and guys like that, because that's their job. Like, that's what they do. So listen to the experts and follow their advice.
So let's talk about, I got my little agenda here, society's response. So now, we were blindsided by this. It was a surprise. And so far, you know, a couple months into this, I know we were blindsided, but I feel like society has been handling it okay. And I think that's because we still have our main pillars still in place. Like, you can still go to the store, you can buy food, you can buy toilet paper. I feel terrible for anybody in the medical industry right now,
Oh
because
God.
it's essentially it's not what they signed up for. Like I think there's a pledge that they take where they will do their job still in like the worst times, but this is one of those worst times, and I swear, like I've only seen medical workers asking for help, but I haven't seen them complaining. And I do know a few people in the medical industry. I don't think they have time to complain, to be honest with you. Get on Facebook like, oh my God. But I do see them asking, like, freaking wash your hands, stay home. Like, they're getting overloaded. So, what do you think society's response as a whole, as our community, let's just say the American response, how do you think this has been?
Well, here's the deal. People in the medical field right now, they're overwhelmed like they've never been in ever,
Yeah.
right? So first rule of being in like an emergency response, whatever, is don't become another victim because then you compound on the problem, right?
Yeah.
So everybody needs to just don't be part of the problem right now, whatever that takes. Stay the fuck home, wash your hands. Don't be. I mean, we've all seen the guy partying in spring break and everything, and he
Yeah.
apologized. It was good. Like people need to be like, this is different. You need to just follow the directions of your superiors right now. And then 6 months from now, we might have to talk about rallying, bringing that in a little bit because martial law might be happening. You can't have that as a permanent state of affairs
No.
because that's not America right there. But I mean, just follow your leaders right now. Just be cool. Don't be a part of the problem. Don't loot because they're just going to kill you. Like there's no like
You took that from medical workers to looting.
But like if you're thinking about looting to survive, like it's not worth it. Just be cool. Don't loot. Don't panic. Just take your time, breathe, and be an asset, not a liability. That's the biggest thing you can do as a person. And I mean, obviously, I'm going to mention Jordan Peterson because he's my
homie. Hey, of course.
But he has a video you can look up. It's called Jordan Peterson. People look for an excuse to do evil. And it's a really important video right now. I recommend it highly. And I'll just read one quote when this loads up just because I think it's super relevant. But something, oh, here it is. Do not let your misfortunes corrupt you. It's this very, very simple phrase. Very, very simple. But I mean, that's really the tragedy of being when misfortunes happen to you. Like you're corrupted. That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
You kill, you steal, you rape, you do whatever terrible things you have to do. That's the tragedy. Just don't do it. Like simple as that. Like you're never gonna steal. You're never gonna really do anything terrible, no matter how bad things get. And that should be just a pledge that we all make to ourselves. That's what's going on right now.
Well, that's the scary thing. The scary thing is if there is sort of a collapse. Now, I want to say I'm okay. I never was rich. I've never had like an overabundance of money or resources to prepare for this, but I started preparing for this as soon as there was like a Wednesday a couple weeks ago. I'm like, this is going to get real. Went shopping, got a month's worth of food, tried the whole toilet paper thing. Even that was like the very beginning of that.
Yep.
But what I'm afraid of is the chaos that's going to come because then now that the system isn't propped up anymore, I hate to say it, but like, I feel like there's going to be a de-evolution. Like human beings are going to just go into survival mode. There's scavengers. There's reasons hyenas scavenge a kill that a lion hunted down. They don't have to spend the energy and effort to get it, and they can just bully the single lion away. Yeah. I hate to say it, but we're not ready as a society for this. I mean, we had a society that was capitalizing on profit and progressive movements. Unfortunately, more of that didn't go into NASA, but we weren't working on humanity. We were working on profit. Like the end goal of this society was to profit and to capitalize. And then every time you hear capitalize, I tell people capitalize off what? Because you have to capitalize off something, whether it's people's labor, the planet, because you're selling food and then your weight. But to get past that, we don't have another goal. Like us as human beings have just like to prosper. It's get money, capitalize, get resources, and then after that, enjoy what you have after that. The way this is going, if that's the only mission we had, I don't see this ending very well.
Well, there's so much to talk about. Let's just like take it step by step. I'm hoping that what comes out of this is a better world because
I
people
so am too.
like I really hope like it's the Starship Enterprise from now on. You know, like we grow and we evolve and we just kind of get our act together and we just like we get it after this.
Yeah.
And so many times I've been like going through the banalities of work or banalities of anything, and I'll not to like make it weird, but I would look around and be like, "This is so fragile. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is so fragile." I
Yeah.
mean, there was an article I read years ago which always stuck with me, and I can't find it. I wish I could, but it was just about how America's one bad day away from just chaos, and we're seeing that kind of play itself out. So I mean, there was just so much stupid shit that we've been doing for so long where I really hope we just kind of be like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore, you know? And like even myself, like I'm part of the problem as much as anyone else. Like I was a big hugger and handshaker. Like I was,
I
you know what I
thought
mean?
you were gonna go somewhere else with this.
Yeah, but like as a one example of something that I did that was just not appropriate on my part. Like I was always hugging people all the time. Like I was that guy. You're not going to be that guy anymore. Nobody is. That's not a thing that you're going to do in social situations. Just handshake everyone.
Do
You
the
know, like
elbow bump now.
yeah, the elbow bump is going to be standard for 5 years. You know what I mean? But like stuff like that is just like think about it. Like, and even the way we deal with like waste and garbage and everything. Like this is insane. Like, why are we
Yeah.
throwing garbage in the ocean? Like, what's the story, guys? And I mean, I think it was actually not a real story, but I remember seeing in Venice, like apparently the dolphins came back and all this type of stuff. That might have been bullshit. I think.
Yeah, I
I don't know.
feel like it is. I think someone was very hopeful with some fake news
Yeah.
articles, but regardless, it's better for the environment when humans do less.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of the validity of that article or not, I really think people should just take better care of the ocean first off,
Yeah.
like as an example. I mean, the way we deal with garbage just bothers me so much, and I'm sounding like a hippie right now. I'm really not, but it's just like, why are we throwing so much just in a landfill and then we got to go through? Like, it's just like this is insane. Like, stop it.
Can I get like a little woo woo here? Just a tiny bit woo woo, mystical,
No, no, go.
metaphysical.
Whoa.
I'm just gonna go
What
for
are you
it
talking to? Go for it.
because I've got a bunch of friends that are into like this whole. There's like a spiritual awakening going on, and please do not just shut this podcast off if that's like the first time you heard this and you're disqualifying me as someone. What I'm trying to say is we're bad roommates to the planet. Whatever you believe, we are just horrible roommates to the planet. And if humanity is one roommate and then nature is the other roommate on planet Earth, we're horrible roommates. Like
Terrible.
we have not
Terrible.
been evicted yet, and this is. I almost feel like the humans have been compared to a virus on this planet previously. Like a lot of people have said it. It's like we spread, we consume, we just keep
Matrix,
consuming.
yeah.
We try to make more. We terraform the planet so we can consume more, and it's gonna get to the point like we haven't said, maybe we should stop doing this. Maybe we should slow this down. This the way this planet is sustaining us. It can't anymore, and this very well could be a defense mechanism. Like it's like we have white blood cells in our body that take care of bacteria that invade us. This might be a thing. Now I'm going on like a theory, and you could think whatever that is, whether you believe it or not. It just shows you that this is just not sustainable. Absolutely not sustainable. And what you were saying earlier, I just hope something good comes out of it. I hope we become better roommates now. We
So
have
that's
to
a
be
great way to
sustainable.
put it. I mean, and for right now, I mean, regardless of what happens in the future, I think right now, I think it's been good for people because we needed a reset in general. We needed a
Yes.
reset in everything because like the polarization of politics and everybody just so crazy. Like now's the time to reset. If you have something in your life, this is what I'm trying to do. If I have something in my life that I've been trying to fix, now's the time to fix it.
Yeah.
You know, like diet changes, working out, treating people better, whatever it is. Like I have so much to do that I'm just trying to plan for the next couple of weeks. Like I got to get my act together as much as possible in order to not be a liability, just be an asset across the board.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. And I think so many people like they haven't spent time with their family in so long. And I hope it's going well, but I know it's not going well because people are stuck with each other. They're getting stir crazy. A lot's happening right now. I mean, you can't keep track of all the news stories of what's happening from this one thing. It's just insane. You can't do it. But I hope people kind of get it. Like if you have a problem with your wife or your husband or whatever, now's the time to fix it. Fucking work it out.
Yeah.
Like now's the time to figure out who you are, because this might have been a Navy SEAL quote from a while ago, from like either Goggins or Jocko or something. But when you're really cold and wet and tired and you're in a terrible situation, that's who you really are. You know, that's who you really are. Not when everything's comfortable and everything's fine. Like if you're the type of person who breaks when it gets a little scary, well, you're a coward. Like it's not nothing personal, but technically you're a coward. You know, if you can't hack it on a hard hike because my feet hurt, you're not good. You're not a particularly durable individual. Then you know, like that's who you. This is where the real you comes out. Times like this, and I mean, a lot of people don't want to look at themselves honestly.
This is our Westworld.
Yeah, like myself included. You don't want to be like, oh man, I might actually have to do some terrible things, and I don't know. Like everybody's afraid right now, and I get it.
See, you know what, Mike? I'm gonna give myself some credit, and I'm gonna give you some.
Very well, by the way. And in our conversations, I've been very proud of you, by the way. Just so you know.
Thank you, because like I don't want to be a bad person, right? So what did I do? I got food to sustain myself. I got like. There's a system of things here where it's like I didn't want to. In terms of sustainability, I can change my diet. I can change how I'm eating. I can change how I'm interacting with people. I am more compassionate. I'm making sure my friends and stuff are okay on Facebook. And if this gets worse, I know I'm capable. And I wanted to make sure I was able to take care of myself in a sustainable, not overdone way, so that I can be helpful and not a burden. Like I already started that. Like I think people, like you were saying, they need to take a good hard look at themselves. And not physically look, but like look at how they operate as human beings. Look at how they operate as an asset to society. Look at how they operate as a social member amongst their community. Do people want to keep you if things get tough? If things are bad? Are you an asset or a liability, just like you were mentioning earlier? And as soon as this started hitting, I immediately was like, I'm going to make sure I don't have to hurt people. I want to make sure that I can help people. I want to be healthy enough to help people. I still want to be able to be a compassionate human being. And I think these are these like internal questions that everybody should be asking themselves. Because there's people going out there like, I'm going to get all the fucking toilet paper. I'm going to stock up with like 2 months of food. And they're going to park on their front porch with a gun. There's something to be said for someone that wants to, protect what they have and be self-sustaining. But there's also something to be said with someone that's willing to share, willing to cooperate. And that's where I want to be able to protect myself. You're supposed to say no. You sent me a video like, learn how to say no, but don't be a dick. And if you can help, and if you're not overextending yourself, if you have an abundance, go for it. And I think this is like the internal perspective that people need to start taking now. And to keep this perspective, even if we get past this, because even with all the abundance that our society had, was it really abundant?
There's so much to unpack from what you just said. Like, forget it. First off, there's some things that I'm just but for a long time, I'm going to appreciate. Clean water, hot showers, food, Xbox.
Yeah. I'm getting my, just in case that grid goes down, I'm getting in my last licks right now.
But you know what I mean? Like, this is ridiculous. This is a miraculous time across the board. And now it's a real challenge for a lot of people, the first time in their lives where they really got pushed, But Netflix and all this stuff. I mean, the fact that we actually had a same-day Amazon delivery system for a while, like seamless. I mean, take your pick. Like, it was so cushy. Forget it. And like I forgot who, because I've been so mushy with all these different media sources, but someone was saying like, this is not World War II. You guys got to take it easy. You're staying home in your jammies. You're watching Netflix. This is not World War II.
They're asking you to stay home.
Just stay home and you'll be fine. But like what the greatest generation went through, I mean, compared to what we're going through so far, we have no reason to complain. The people who we should really, extend our hearts out to are the victims of this virus, because there's a lot and there's going to be a lot more. And regardless of what your situation is, if you're not a victim of this, you are the lucky one. You need to shut the fuck up and just be cool, because so many people right now are hooked up to a ventilator and they're not going to make it. So like you have to have perspective here. The people whose job it is to protect you, the healthcare workers and all them, those guys you got to take care of. You know, like whatever it is, just take care of those people, because they're going to have so many problems after this, and they're on the front lines. They're going to be more likely to get sick. I mean, it goes on and on and on about who really matters right now.
Yeah, that's let's talk about that, because okay, so we're going to essentially switch, not essentially, we are going to switch topics, and I want to talk about this thing called essential roles in society, essential labor, essential contributions. And it's getting tossed around a lot, and man, is it kind of hitting hard, because the people that are still able to work without a reasonable doubt maybe didn't have the best jobs, but then now they're considered essential.
Yeah.
So
That's
Mike,
so funny.
I want your first impression on that. What hits you first?
I am not essential. That's what it comes down to. I am not essential at all. Oh my God. My career choices in the past 2-3 years, like, yeah, we don't need you, buddy. Stay home. Like, all right, fine.
We need a podcaster. We need, you know what I'm saying? The fact that we're watching this,
yeah. I don't want to get too specific on my life choices the past 3 years, but you know what I mean? Like, forget it. So many people matter, and like celebrities right now are going through such a crisis, because it's like people still need to pay attention to me. Like, I'm going to make a video so people pay attention to me. And like, does it really matter if Wonder Woman 2 is coming out? Like, this stuff is so like unimportant at this point right now, and I feel terrible, but it's the kind of the way it is. And you should appreciate the guy who works at the supermarket a little bit more.
I have been so nice to those people. Like when I was looking for something, like, thanks, I don't want to bother you. I know you're really busy, but I'm looking for this. And they tell me where it is. I'm like, look, I really appreciate your time. Stay safe. At least I let them know I appreciate them.
But the thing is, people should treat everybody nice all the time. Don't be a dick to the guy who stocks the shelf at ShopRite. Don't be a dick to that guy. Don't treat him like he's a lower, because right now those guys are fucking rock stars.
They're the rock stars. They're holding it up.
Like, this reminds me of 9/11 when the towers got hit and the firemen responded. Like, people treated firemen like they were rock stars for a long time, and rightfully so. Like, take care of these fucking guys. Look what they're doing to you. They literally risked their lives and died just to save your ass from a burning building. You know what I mean? But the thing is, everybody should treat everybody that way. Like, that drives me so nuts when people are rude to like wait staff, and they're rude to people who are washing your car or whatever. Treat everybody like you want to be treated. The golden rule is more important now than ever. But at the same time, some people are realizing, like, wow, it doesn't really matter if my new single comes out on iTunes anymore. Like, all right.
Yeah, right?
Like, people are just, it's such a mind fuck for everybody right now, because what really matters at the end of the day?
You know what? Dude, I can't go see a Yankee game right now.
Yeah. Closed.
How important was that?
Yeah. I mean, well, first off, for any MMA fans out there, I'm going to tell them and they'll get the joke. This is all Tony Ferguson and Khabib's fault, by the way. This is all their fault. The entire coronavirus. This is the 5th time that fucking fight has been delayed. So something happened where it was their fault. And on the sense of normality, John Jones got arrested a couple weeks ago. So that was a happy sign for me, because it's like, wow, things are back to normal. John Jones is arrested. All right. You know? So for any MMA guys, you guys appreciate that. But at the same time, like, those distractions were important on some level. Like, it kept everybody kind of healthy and happy. Just be like, hey, you gonna go see the game?
Healthy. I would say happy.
Yeah, that's another thing. Healthy and happy are up for debate right now, because I mean, NBA stars don't really fucking matter anymore. You know, I mean, they're just kind of like at home, like, all right, nobody wants to watch me dribble a ball anymore. Okay,
yeah,
makes you appreciate your doctor a little bit more. Like, goddamn.
Yeah.
I'll stop it at that. But I mean, you know how I feel about all this stuff. I mean,
well, for me, dude.
One quick thing before you talk. Sure. Something I want to mention just now is, like, what matters now actually matters. You know what I mean,
Mike?
That's what clip that. But this is what people and myself I need to get. Like, if it didn't matter 3 months ago, like, you know, whatever weird political opinion you had, or it never mattered. That's the reality that 2020 is giving us so far. It never mattered. Doesn't
actually matters.
It's what matters right now. So if you oh man, I'm not talking to my brother or my sister anymore, and we're estranged or something. Call them up and fix it, because that's what matters. You don't want anything hanging over your head because you might lose them. You don't know how this is going to come out.
Damn.
Be nice to the person you were a dick to 3 months ago.
Like, it really matters now. Everything you say and everything you do. Like, I can't. God bless my parents. I love them. They actually said, no, we don't need to hang out. Like, we'll just do a video call. They're only 45, 50 minutes away from where I am. But since we're on different sides of the state, they're way closer to New York City. My mother came in from a flight because she was just in Puerto Rico. So she went through the airport and all that. We've just said, I know you want to see us. We miss you. I miss you. But it's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
pick up my phone and look at them.
The next time, like, if you haven't, like, I'm in the same boat. I haven't seen certain people in months and months and months, but I'm going to get tested first before I see them, and they're going to get tested before I see them.
Yeah.
Like, and it might be a 2 months, 3 months before we get the right test, because this might be dormant. It might come back after a few months, whatever it is. But be smart. Like, I haven't seen I don't have a lot of older people in my life. I'm not seeing them for 6 months. I'm not risking it. Like, I love you. I wish I could do Easter, but
yeah,
I'm not risking it, man, because I love you. I don't want you to stay around.
Exactly.
Here,
Exactly.
So, I mean, everybody's just got to just get it together. Like, don't be stupid. Don't do anything reckless. This is for real.
Mike, so let's talk about this pillar of society that I mentioned earlier. And so I will tell you that I feel like our main pillar of society is this value that we have in money. And right now, as the system, as money still can prop this up, like you watch Walking Dead, they don't use money, right? There is no money to be used in that because it means nothing. They're looking at bottles of water that are still healthy to consume. They're looking at water, and they're looking at food, and they're looking at shelter, and they're looking at basic energy. Let's say like lights are nice, At least you can read at night because during the day you're going to be working trying to make your own food.
No.
So if let's say we're hoping for a recovery, and we want to change our ways. I hope everyone sees that we need to change our ways when the recovery does start happening, if it does. But if it gets worse, Mike, what does that world look like? How do we degrade into that? What's the first thing on your mind if things get worse?
That's heavy. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, a good example of, like, to be honest, like, you're going to laugh, but the Younger Dryas period.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like, Graham Hancock. Like, everybody, Google that Younger Dryas period.
Younger Dryas era,
excuse me. But, like, if you look at that was the type of thing that changed everything. That was the biggest reset in that we know of right now. That type of thing. World War II was something else, Pompeii, whatever it is. Like, there's so many examples of something going catastrophically wrong on a high level. And we all kind of got back to normal because before this was happening, regardless of, like, the political nonsense going on, things were okay. There was no cannibalism, rampant cannibalism and this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Again, another Jordan Peterson thing is that more people were dying from obesity than starvation, and that matters. You know what I mean? So we made a lot of progress, but we still have a lot more progress to go, and it's never going to stop. We're always going to want to make progress. But there is just that sinking feeling of, like, if the grid shuts down and money doesn't mean anything, all bets are off at that point. It's legitimately Mad Max type shit for 5-10 years. And who's going to bring it back once
do we want to? It's what caused this in the first place. Like, a lot of people were blind to it.
Well, this is where it gets really, if you want to get deep, I don't know how much time we have.
We're about 35 minutes in.
This is ridiculous. Okay.
Go for it. Come on. Let's get a good ride for 5 minutes, Mike.
Get a good ride. Let's get a good ride.
Let's get a good ride. Go.
So the ultimate question is, was the COVID-19 virus an accident or was it on purpose? That's the question. That's the $64,000 question right there, because both are terrifying. Because, like, we're just living in chaos where humanity can get wiped out from a virus in a year and there's no more people and we're all dead. Or there's some James Bond villain right now who has this plan for humanity.
Umbrella Corporation.
It reminds me of Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. It reminds me of a novel, Rainbow Six, that if you guys know of the game, but in the novel, these environmental terrorists were going to release a virus and wipe out most of humanity and like reset everything. You know, the Bill Gates Foundation, they had a drill. You know about that?
No, but I know Bill Gates was a big advocate. Like he had a keynote speak. He had a
Yeah.
keynote speech about what's the most threatening thing.
I'm gonna look this up real quick. Don't mind me.
Go ahead, look it up.
Okay, so Event 201. Do you know about this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it was a high-level pandemic exercise in October of 2019 where I started watching it, and it was not quite exactly what it was, but yeah, it was very kind of spot on of what we're going on right now. So, like, here's the thing: like, Conspiracy Farm, if you guys know the YouTube channel, look into that if you really want to go into a dark place. They're all into this is a big plan of the New World Order type shit. Do I? I don't know. Probably not. But the thing is, like, weird stuff like this has happened in the past, like where people have conspired at a high level to change humanity. So, like, what are we going to do about that? So, I mean, is it comforting that it's an accident, or is it terrifying that it's an accident? I don't know. And I mean, people are going to have so many conspiracy theories, just like 9/11, of what's really going on here. And people shouldn't jump to conclusions. We need to really do our homework before we accuse anyone of anything. Everybody's got to be cool, be an asset, not a liability.
Yeah.
But my biggest concern is complete collapse of everything, where it's Mad Max again, or it's a World War III situation where the only way to kickstart the economy again is to have a gigantic war in which 1 billion or 2 billion people get killed.
That's terrible.
And here's the deal, man. I'm getting a little older. I don't want to go fight.
No.
I mean, I know so many people who went off and fought in wars, and it's not romantic. It's not exciting. It's just brutal and it's horrible and it's just terrible for everyone. So, like, I don't want to go fight. I don't want to see anyone else in my life go fight for me. Like, I want everything to work itself out. I want to be happy and I want to be peaceful. I don't want to have to kill anyone and I don't want to get killed.
Yeah.
Everybody be cool. I'm a nice guy. You know what I mean? And I don't think everybody thinks like that. Some people are looking for an excuse to do evil. Again, the Jordan Peterson thing. Don't look for the excuse to be evil. And we should nip it in the bud as early as we can, because I don't want to see this get out of hand. I really don't. It's out of hand right now and it's going to get worse. But a year from now, I hope we say, phew, that was a close one. Everything almost fell apart, but we got our shit together and things are better and we're going to the movies again. I don't know, though.
Well, Mike, let's say it's chaotic, right? Let's say the virus came from an animal somewhere. Everybody keeps looking at that Wuhan meat market, and I've seen that's a gross video. But say it's chaos, right? Let's just say it's just chaos that's been unleashed on humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have to deal with it. And then
Yeah.
even if it was a conspiracy, let's just say, we have to deal with it. And I was just looking at my phone. I wanted to pull this up for you. It's a quote from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Whatever you think about him, but this is the best way to predict the future is to create it. So what we're dealing with, everything that we're capable of, and I still feel like society is still very capable. I mean, it's just wash your hands, stay in, reduce your exposure to people. We're still very capable, and our eyes are open now. Everybody's paying attention to how society works. Look at the grocery stores open. Look at, like, I just went to Home Depot today. I'm learning how to garden. Look at what's going on in society. And while it's still working, while it's still propped up, we can change this, whether it is chaotic or it is engineered. I will tell you, though, I did find something about they're really trying to install 5G shit now that all these buildings are empty. And that's a whole different beast, but you could look up 5G, and you could look up, these telecommunication companies are trying to install this while these buildings are empty, because there was a big to-do about that. Whatever the case...
what I'm talking about. Like, that's what freaks me out. Like, is this related? Like, I don't know.
Even if it is, the thing is, we, as the majority of human beings that should know what's happening to us, that should be partaking in our lifestyles, we need to be aware and we need to drive it. We can't just hope someone else is going to take care of us. That's a little selfish, because, like, we vote in politicians, and like, even let's say we have a democratic society. I'm talking about America. We vote in our politicians. We vote in essentially the people that we want to change our lifestyles for us or sustain our lifestyles. But it's almost selfish in the fact that you vote it off, and then so many of us just don't pay attention to it ever again, and all we'll do is complain online. We don't participate. This is a great opportunity to observe now and participate, because we have to make our own future. So whether, Mike, it's chaotic or whether it is some sort of weird conspiracy, we still have the opportunity to make something of it. And I really hope that people realize that. That's when you're saying reset. I hope this is like not a hard reset. You know, you put the computer in sleep mode and you just wake it back up and run the essential programs and try to do that again. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, again, I always thought in the back of my mind that something this was going to happen. As a kid who, like you, grew up during 9/11, it's like, all right, what's next? What's the next thing that's going to happen in our lifetime? You know, it's really interesting hearing people who are in their 90s talk about this because they've been through all of it.
Yeah,
like it's really great. I'm trying to find articles about people who actually experienced the Spanish flu who are that old, and they can tell you what they did and what it was like and this and that. So like people in there that are way older are kind of like, yeah, we've been here before. Like, no, not a factor. You know, to quote Jocko Willink, yeah, not a factor. But some people, imagine people like 18, and this is like their first interaction with real life because they weren't around for 9/11 really. So this is their first experience with things going really, really wrong. You know, they haven't been tested so far. And I mean, I here's the thing. Yes, I'm disappointed in the state of things because so many people are soft and so many people are entitled and so many people are just Instagram models and like they don't have a hardiness to them.
They don't have an observation to what real life is.
Yes. Something that always bothered me was ordering food because like if I got sushi from Seamless, not to knock on Seamless. I love Seamless. I'll still use it if the apocalypse doesn't kill us all. I'll still use Seamless. But like to get like sushi within 30 minutes, just you have to remind yourself of what happened, how many people were involved in getting you your goddamn tuna roll. Ridiculous. So I mean, when you look at like meat, first off, look, as a guy who grew up hunting and fishing and shooting, this is kind of like the playoffs for people like me. You know what I mean?
Dude, by the way, it is an honor to be part of your zombie apocalypse team because there's a circle of friends that you have, Mike, and we're like, did he put you on his zombie apocalypse team? And I know I've been on that for a couple of years, and it's an absolute honor. I tell people.
See, I said that in jest all these years, but it's for real now. Yeah, like, you're on the team.
You were the first phone call, Mike. Like, hey, Mike, what are we doing about this? Are you paying attention to what's going on? Are we going to have to do this? It's not exactly zombies, but we know what the fuck's up.
Here's the deal. I know so many guys who are like preppers, right? Yeah. For their entire lives. Let's say they're 45. For 45 years, they've been preppers and they've been stocking fucking food and now they're just like, they're so like happy in a weird way.
It's like, it's
just
here,
like,
fellas.
I'm not wrong. See, I'm not wrong. So I don't know what it's equivalent to. It's like if like they found Bigfoot, like all the Bigfoot people are like, you see, Bigfoot's real now. You see? But I mean, it's just hilarious. Like how like gun control is dead for 5 years.
Yeah.
5 or 10 years, like nobody's gonna be like, we need to ban all the guns.
Did you see the picture of the huge line in Los Angeles at the gun store?
But here's the thing that for someone who grew up in that world for my entire life, they always said there's going to be a day where the police are not going to be able to come to your house. That's simple. Something's going to happen where you call the police and they're like, we don't have the resources. We can't help you. There's someone breaking in. Like, what do you want us to do? We have no police officers left. And this is the type of situation where like a lot of the cops are going to get corona. They're going to be out of commission for a while. So take everything that's happening on top of the shortage of police officers and everything. You know, front sight slowly squeeze, man. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, kind of the stuff that we've been talking about forever. But I mean, it's a tragedy though, because I wasn't originally 100% against new gun control measures. Even as someone who grew up with this stuff, like I was always like, hey, let's work something out. Whatever. But now it's like AR-15s for everyone. Like, forget about it. Like, everybody should have an AR-15 at this point is what some people are going to be thinking.
I
like,
know you just triggered a ton of people right now, but
you know what I mean, though. Yeah. Like, and that there's so much again to talk about. First off, for people who are owning guns for the first time, you don't want to shoot your gun the first time when you're defending your life. That's not how this works. You have to put trigger time in, but then the ranges are closed. So it's like, fuck. So like, it was just such a nightmare scenario for everyone because now we have all these people who never owned a gun, never shot a gun before, who have guns they can't shoot, they can't practice. There's no ranges open anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's so much that can go wrong because you have all these untrained yahoos out there that get their Glock 19 for the first time, and it's like, now what?
So hold on, can I rewind you a little bit because I know there's going to be like some triggered individuals here on this opinion.
Is triggered even going to be a thing
after this, by the way? Give me a second, and I want to put some logic in it. I'm taking your logic and I'm expanding it because firearms right now essentially are the lowest common denominator in terms of self-defense. Long time ago, before we even made blades, people would punch and kick and wrestle each other, right? Like in Neanderthal times. And then, so martial arts kind of became a thing, you know, people knew how to fight. Then you put tools into it. Someone gets a freaking hammer, it breaks a rock open. It could also break your head open. And then that evolved into a blade. And then you have your samurais and you have all these martial artists that wield blades. And then now with the introduction of gunpowder and firearms, that is now the lowest common denominator to protect yourself, because if someone else has a firearm and you know martial arts, but that person is 15 feet away from you, doesn't matter if you've been studying martial arts your whole life. So firearms are the lowest common denominator. Like I would say a pistol is the lowest common denominator when it comes to defending yourself in a world that might be a little crazy.
Sure.
That's why this is happening. That's why the gun owners and the advocates have been pushing for not having their guns removed. It is the lowest common denominator when it comes to protecting yourself, because since guns are available, someone might have it, and if they have it, it's always that situation. You'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
For sure.
That's where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tragedy, but it's kind of the way it is. I mean, back in the day, everybody had a sword. Everybody had a little short sword or a dagger at all times. Like, it was just the way of the world. Like, people would go to dinner or events with their sword on their hip.
And they would I always watched Zorro as a kid, and I never understood that. Like, when they would put their hand on the handle, as a kid, you just like, what are you doing? That's kind of silly. Like, and it would be like a really tense moment when someone reaches over to hold the handle on their sword, and you're like, what's everybody freaking out about? But that's just like going to reach for your holster. That's the same exact thing.
Yeah, and look, again, I hope things work themselves out in a couple months. We don't have to go through all this.
Yeah, I really hope so.
But gun control advocates, I think they didn't get it because they always had that in the back of their brain that things are always going to be normal. There's always going to be police. Just call the police, man. Like, what's your problem? Now you're seeing kind of a worst case scenario of what humanity is all about. And also, just to kind of beat a dead horse to death, people who are against eating meat, like, hey, man, like the guys who can bow hunt, they're kind of running the show from now on in a year because they're the only ones that can get real protein. Because
when you get through a winter.
Yes. So, I mean, it's really kind of like a fucked up situation because it's like all these guys are like, you know, king shit right now because they were right for their entire lives. And there should be humility in that sense too, because I mean, look, be cool. Yeah, your neighbor used to harass you for bringing your deer home in the fall, and because they were like calling you a baby killer or whatever, but they were eating hamburgers. You know what I mean? Like, don't be a dick. Be cool. Like, hey man, it's fine. If you need some meat, let me know. You know, like that kind of thing. Like, break bread, make friends with your neighbors, and hopefully we can go back to a time where progressive ideas can take root. Because I don't believe in a black or white situation, left or right. I believe in the balance of left and right.
Same.
So like right now we're going to go through a little more of a weird right wing social situation, you know.
I kept telling people like those red states are going to be fine.
Oh, they're fine. You kidding me? Rednecks are in heaven right now. They're great.
They're like, woo! They're ready for this, man.
We're good.
As soon as the corona goes away, right? Like if society degrades just enough, but yet there's enough healthy people still around. They've got it. Like, they have that lifestyle.
But look, that's the other thing I'll point out. I've made this metaphor before, but I'm going to show you guys. I got a little multi-tool right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Leatherman Surge. I love Leathermans. They're like my favorite thing in the world. The thing about this kind of tool is that it always comes in handy no matter what your situation is. Like, if you're at a wedding, it can come in handy. If you're lost in the wilderness, it can come in handy. Certain tools are only useful when things are amazing. You know, when things are perfect, this tool comes into play. You want to have those tools that always work no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, like my editing system here that I'm going to use for this podcast.
Yep.
Not sure if it's going to be worthwhile in a little bit.
But that's a good point though. Like if you're self-sustainable, and I'm not preaching this because I haven't really done it as much as I should have.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have like chickens in your backyard and a garden, that's always going to be in season. That's always going to be working for you. You know, it's never going to go out of style because like, hey, things are bad. I got my garden. There you go. Perfect example.
I got some essential reading I'm sharing with you right now, Mike.
Go for it.
Just in case.
There you go.
I got that one. Let's keep going. I've got emergency food storage and
Okay.
survival.
Very nice.
And then
okay. How many books you got, by the way?
Bro, I'm ready. I'm not messing around. Like,
That's
and you know what? If I read it, it's not really wasting my time, regardless.
sure. But also something else for listeners out there. There's a guy I like on YouTube called Nut and Fancy, and I've probably talked about him before. He's a good way to start. He's not amazing, but he's a great like reference point for certain people. He talks about like bug out bags and this and that. But there's a lot of good guys on YouTube. You can find them. But he said something interesting that I always thought about, where he had. I mean, again, so much information going on in your brain.
Yeah.
But he had like an infection in his leg or something, and he said, if I didn't have access to a hospital, I would have died. Simple as that. So people need to take advantage of the fact that we still have hospitals, because if the grid goes down and we're living in the wilderness and all this shit, dying is so easy at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like one little infection, one lack of certain medicine, and you're done. You're dead. So I mean, people need to kind of be very tread lightly with the future from now on, because my whole thing is I don't want to be part of the problem. I don't want to get sick, and I don't want to be another person.
That was my point earlier.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to take care of myself. I've been trying to work out and eat right and all that stuff. But that's what people's mentality should be, and myself included.
I
Like,
think that hashtag don't be a problem.
Don't be part of the problem. Regardless of what that is, be part of the solution. Stay the fuck home. Wash your hands. Just that's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk another hour, but
I know we should leave it at that, Mike. We are about 2 minutes in, so
For real?
Look, dude, I think it was great that we caught up about this. You know, it took sort of a deep dive into society, what society could. Can you imagine if we podcast from a month from now and be like, dude, we were so wrong? Like, we still have electricity and internet, but my goodness, there's way less people when we do this. You know, I don't even want to like smile about that. Like, I don't want to say, haha, we were right. I don't want to do that, but
well,
look, I'm just ready for the worst. I really am.
Yeah, you have to be.
I'm ready for the worst.
Everybody should prepare for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
1 year of either staying home or whatever it is, no work or whatever it is. Emotionally, mentally prepare yourself for this time in 2021. If it only lasts 2 months, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, if things work itself out, no problem. But the biggest thing that I'm trying to do is be nicer. Be nicer. Be cool. Be smart.
Be nicer. Don't be a problem. Don't be part of the problem.
No.
And contribute. Yeah, I realized my role in society. I want to do more. I got these books. I want to have some basic survival value now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I love electronics and I love communication, but there could be a world where we start mailing shit to each other again. Some dude.
Are you talking about the postman? Are you getting postman on me right now, buddy?
Costner shows up. All right, I think let's leave it at that, Mike. You have any final words? Like just word, like not advice, but like hope for the future, or you said don't be a problem, don't be part of the problem. What else you got?
Well, the whole thing is like people need to understand that we're living through history right now, and it's scary, but it should be empowering at the same time. And I mean, we don't know how this is going to play out. I mean, we might all be dead in a year. Let's just get real here. Who the fuck knows? Or this might usher in this new era of unimaginable prosperity, and who knows? Everything's on the table right now. Everything's out in the open. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not that smart to figure all this out. I hope for the best, prepare for the worst. But dude, I already miss civilization. Like, I miss going to restaurants. I miss going to hanging out with 20, 30 people at a time. That might be in the past tense from now on.
Yeah.
Like, that's horrifying. And I hope it's all overblown. I hope in 3-4 months, everything's fine. Everything's cool. Back to normal. Back to being bored at work. Imagine being bored at work. How awesome that was to be bored at work.
I know, right? Those small things.
God. The good old days. But let's do this again soon, because there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
But that was a good refresher on the podcast and 2020 and all that. And thanks for letting me vent my crazy thoughts. You know me. I was
Hey, dude. I mean, I hope people appreciate what we're going through. And my final word in all this is I am sort of like, I know people are suffering. I know there's terrible things happening in the medical industry right now and hospitals, but I am still excited for how humanity can come out of this. I was like, I'm doing my part. I'm gonna stay in. I'm hoping I'm part of the world. However significant or however detrimental this is to humanity, I'm hoping I'm part of the world that's after this
Yeah, I
and
mean,
an asset to it.
we're all in this together now,
Yeah.
for real.
All right, Mike. I think I'm gonna go play some State of Decay and continue to prepare for this because it's that game that gave me the idea to get all these books.
Oh God.
All right, dude. Man, it was
All
good
right, good
talking to
talking.
you. Take it easy,
Yep.
bud.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.